All right, good morning and welcome back to the Center for Creativity, or thank you for sticking around if you took our first workshop today. My name is Anina Collier. I'm the Dean of the Center for Creativity. If you're joining us on the live stream, we're so glad you're here too. This workshop is going to be super fun. I'm very excited about it. But before I introduce our presenters, I just have a couple quick things to tell you about. Number one, we have a free concert coming up in October with a multi-instrumentalist named Rory Hoffman. He is a Nashville session musician who's played on the recordings of so many big stars. He can play almost anything. He's also invented his own instruments, and he's completely blind. And he will be here as part of our Please Touch the Art programming sponsored by the TCC Foundation. So we would love to have you come back for this event. No registrations required. And we have flyers up at the front. Please feel free to spread the word to the community. We want a great turnout because it's going to be a really fun event. Also, quickly, and I know some of you have heard this many times, but Tulsa Achieves is a scholarship program offered by Tulsa Community College. This is 2 years of free college, no strings attached, to young people who graduate from a Tulsa County public, private, or homeschool program. They only have to have a 2.0 GPA, and they have to come straight to college after their senior year, but they don't have to be a full-time student. This is an incredible program that's a national model for free college education. It's very unusual, and we're so lucky to have it here in Tulsa. So if you have a young person in your life, please pick up one of these. We have them in English and Spanish, and make sure it's on their radar, because it's a truly wonderful way to graduate with a 2-year degree debt-free, and also they're highly transferable to 4-year degrees. All right, well, that is enough for me. We have a super exciting art project with our friends at Tulsa City-County Library. They're an amazing partner. We're so happy they're here. Please help me welcome Rachel Ann and Rowan.
Hi everyone, so my name is Rachel Ann, my pronouns are she, they, and I am the youth librarian at Central Children's, and this is Rowan.
Hey everybody, I'm Rowan. I am the adult services librarian at Central Library. If I can get this mic back on.
And we're so excited that you're here. So today we're going to be making art out of books, and the first question I have for all of you is, who does not think that they're an artist? Like, who's somebody who's like, I don't really feel very artistic? Anybody? Yeah. So who sometimes, like, if somebody asks you, hey, do you feel creative? Who of you goes, that's not me. I don't feel so creative sometimes. So here's the thing, as grown-ups, by the time we make it to adulthood, there's a lot of baggage that kind of gets around creativity. A lot of times, especially art making, it feels like there are right answers and wrong answers. But really, creativity is a bunch of different thinking skills that are things like being flexible, experimenting playfully, considering multiple viewpoints, and just like testing things out. And today's activity is about that, right? It's going to be about us just sort of like messing around. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. And so for that, I'm gonna ask for like a little bit of trust. What do you all think? Do you think you can trust us? Can you trust Rowan and I today? We're librarians, we're very trustworthy.
We're very trustworthy.
We're so trustworthy. So the first thing we're going to do today, without any context, without any information, is we are going to make a mark on the middle of a piece of paper using the watercolors. Now, there's cups of waters at the table. You can share with friends. And the way that we're gonna do this is I'm gonna show right here, when I get my water wet, I'm gonna pick a color, and you see how I'm like really kind of messily marking it like this? What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use the lid a little bit, and I'm just gonna like get it really juicy. Now, we're gonna make a shape on the page, but it doesn't really matter what the shape is as long as you pick a color that kind of resonates with you. Now, if someone is very nervous, and you don't even have to be nervous, but if you're not totally sure, we have some scrap watercolor paper at the front, and you're welcome to come up here and grab a piece and test your color on this first. If you're like, I need that moment to test. Exactly. I'm a tester too. Yes, yes. So these are little tests. So if you're like, I need a test, because then what I can do here is I can go like this and be like, I'm gonna come back with That's too pink for me. That's not what I want. And then I can add another color. And then maybe I like that a little bit better. So, see?
Yes. Oh, watercolor paint.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this mark, and then it's gonna dry kind of while we're talking about other stuff, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna make my mark because it's gotta dry faster than all of your marks. Does that sound good? So you can decide, but don't copy my mark. Okay? Whatever mark I make, don't copy my mark. You can make any mark you want. Okay? It can be any shape. It could be a circle, it could be an oval, it could be a squiggle, it could be a couple lines. And you can see me, I'm going wild here, and I can't commit to a color, so I think I'm making brown. But that's okay, I'll test it and see. Yeah, that's what I want. And then, a lot of times when I don't know what to do, the great thing is that there's a lot of shapes in our world, and there's really no right or wrong answer. So that's what I did. That's my shape.
Who needs paper?
I feel really good about my shape. I feel confident and centered in my shape choosing. So we're going to start adding different materials, but the first thing we are doing right now is we're just making a mark. And there's no pressure. This is the trust part where it's like without knowing where we're going next, we're just going to make a mark. It might help if the mark is, because that mark is going to talk to some of the other things that we're going to bring into the piece, but there's no pressure. Sometimes when you make a mark, it helps you get started, and then it'll help inform sort of the next thing that you want to do. I will encourage that these marks be abstract, but they don't have to be. They can be of something if you want. But honestly, like, we're in blob land right now. And that's okay. Blob land is a good land to be in. So, if anybody needs like a little bit of like encouragement and stuff, I'm going to turn my microphone off. And what you can do is you can just look up pleadingly, and I will know, and I will come to you, and so will Rowan. I'm an unmiked queen.
And if anybody needs more supplies, all of the watercolor sets are out. I might just have to borrow from a neighbor if you're still making a shape. But we have more watercolor paper if anybody didn't get some. We still have scraps of paper if people are wanting to test out colors. And if you raise your hand, I'm happy to bring you anything that you need.
So what I'm seeing, I'm going to put my mic back. I know I said it before. So first of all, what I'm seeing now is as I'm walking around, everyone's shape is a little bit different. And that's exactly what we need. Every single person has kind of brought their own energy to it. Some shapes are small, some are big, some have made multiple shapes, some have made single shapes, and there's no wrong answer. So now, while this is drying, what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of bring things together. I'm going to show what Rowan and I did when we made our shapes. But this is not the answer. This is an option, if that makes sense, because it's open-ended, okay? So when Rowan and I did this, you can see I choose the same shape over and over again. So my shape is this oval underneath it. And then Rowan did this really incredible sort of like watery mark. And then that shape, both of us made those shapes before we knew what we were going to pick. And then we started to dig through the other materials to kind of see what kind of went along with the shapes. So now while your watercolor is drying, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to look through pieces of paper that we have. So there are scraps of book paper at each of your tables. There are also books that have been deleted from our system at the far tables, and you're welcome to go over there and look. And the next thing is to just pick something. It can be a couple pages. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're just gonna pick something. So when we pick this thing, one of the things I like to do is I try to find something that resonates with me, but I'm also not feeling a lot of pressure, if that makes any sense. Like I don't want, sometimes the most unexpected little thing is the thing that like makes the work of art. And it should feel fun. So whatever that thing is that makes you go, huh. Or it could be a color, it could be a little figure, it could be a person, it could be a thing. There's no right or wrong.
And you can, if more than one thing speaks to you, I hate making up my mind. You could pick more than one shape or color or image.
Exactly.
As you can see, like on Rachel Ann's, she had the bird, and then she added some other, like something else from a page, some color. Mm-hmm. So like you can keep more than one things that speak to you and just see how you end up incorporating them.
Yeah. And for now, we're not gluing yet. We're just sort of like gathering the pieces, and we're kind of getting like puzzle pieces that we're gonna play with. Does that make sense? So we're like kind of like a color you like, just like Rowan said, or a shape, or like that kind of stuff. The other thing you can do that both Rowan and I did is that we both found a phrase that we kind of liked and we incorporated it. Mine said, "No other loves for me." And Rowan says, "Nonsense, every word is gibberish." And so maybe as you're looking, there's a phrase or something like that. Also, you should know that all the books that have been deleted are books that had damage, and there was a reason that they were taken out of our collection. So we're not shredding up good books. We're creating life with books that
have already lived their lives.
They've already lived their lives, and now they're going to live lives hopefully hung up as art in your homes. Or not. So while that's happening, under the camera, I'm going to cut out a shape. So when I cut a shape out, I like to sometimes cut it out roughly first so I don't have so much paper to work with. So I might take a pair of scissors and be like, okay, well, I kind of like this like funny little house. And so I'm gonna like sloppy cut it out like this. And then that kind of gives me a place to work on. Now, while we have X-Acto knives at the table, I'm gonna have a moment for X-Acto knife safety. When we cut things with X-Acto knives, we do not do this. Does anyone know why I wouldn't put my hand like this and then cut this way? Exactly. So I will steady my hand away, and then the blade is moving away from my flesh. And that's if I slip or something like that. These are very sharp and fresh. You probably won't need to push very hard. If you have an extra thick piece of paper, sometimes the best thing to do is that you can do it twice. You can go over it a second time. And the great thing is that it doesn't have to be perfect to look good cut out. So as I'm cutting it out, what I'm doing here is, you'll see, I'm not really moving my hand, I'm sort of rotating the thing. And the reason I'm doing that is because it makes it so my hand is always in its strongest, most ergonomic position, and it's part of the reason why I made this smaller. So as I'm walking around the shape, I'm able to move it and then cut the shape. I could have also used scissors, which is also great and a good option.
We do also have some extra cardboard up here if anybody is concerned about X-Acto knifing the table.
Yes.
Happy to bring you some if you raise your hand.
So I cut out this little house, but there's also something that kind of unexpectedly happened with mine. When I turned it upside down, I really liked this weird little shape that was made. And that was unexpected, because I was really focused on this little house. But then when I turned it upside down, I was like, I kind of like that. The other thing I'm thinking about is I also kind of like that shape. And that's kind of unexpected. So I'm trying to decide if maybe that's something I want to do something with. We'll see.
That's a great question. Some of these out of context, I'm like, what is that?
So there was a question at one of the tables about materials. And I can answer it while we kind of get ready for the next thing that we're about to do. So we've made our watercolor shapes, and right now we're cutting out shapes. And we also have these things. They're called Stabilo 3-in-1s. They're like a wood crayon. One of my favorite things about these is that they're really great for young children because they make marks very easily and they're very, very soft. But they're also great for grown-ups because they do a couple of things. They make marks and they have really great vibrancy. They're very pigmented. I also love them because they can mark on any color. And so even though this is a dark area, you can see it showing up better than like a crayon would. And then also, I like how they layer, so even though I just made some, what I like to call squigs, but are really just squiggles, when they layer up, I feel like a pretty fancy abstract artist. I'm like, oh, those are like some professional squiggles. And so I like that these marks, that this tool does that. The other thing that's great about these is that when they get wet, they're water soluble, so they can turn into watercolor. And what's great about that is that you can actually control how smeary they get. So you can make a mark and then turn it into true watercolor by doing this. Or you can make a gentle line and then just sort of get it wet to kind of blur it a little bit. The other thing I really like to do with these is that you can get your paper wet like this, and then you can draw into it and it'll kind of, you know, smear around. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start playing with the components that we've made. And we're gonna start making a composition, but we're not gluing yet. We're just sort of like thinking about like how it's gonna fit on the page. And see, look, I accidentally got a little blue smudge here. And that would be like, but that didn't ruin it because now I'm like, oh, the paper has told me that it wants blue there. So I'm gonna respond to that by adding a little shape here. And so that's what this part's about, right? It's gonna be about like kind of intuitively using these tools, making marks, and sort of kind of planning what you wanna do. Now keep in mind, if you get your paper super wet, the glue won't stick. So at this point, if you are getting it wet, I would do it with a little bit of, I would be sparing and prudent. You can also grab some paper towels and do a dab if you need to, which is, I'll demo that because I'm about to not take my own advice and I'm gonna get my paper wet again. So what I've done is I've drawn a shape and then now I'm gonna use my paintbrush to sort of get it wet again. And I'm not really worried about this being perfect. I kind of want it to be kind of just like an unexpected kind of funny shape. And so I kind of want it to sort of feel like it's falling apart a little bit or something. And then, you know, it kind of is wanting to be like a second circle, like informally. So I'm just gonna go for it. But now I've made a very wet piece of paper, which I need it not to be. So that's when I'm gonna take my paper towel and I'm gonna soak up that water. And it's gonna change the way it looks too. And I kind of like that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So now I have this sort of like shadow shape, which I'm excited about. So now I'm gonna take these other pieces that I've gotten and I'm sort of thinking about like what I wanna do next. And I've grabbed some other pieces of paper. And for this one, I'm not even gonna cut it. I think I'm going to sort of tear it. And I'm just sort of like playing with what that looks like and trying to decide if I like it or not. Oh no. So then you'll also notice that we've provided these kind of pages that are from other books. These were laser cut out in our makerspace. And so I might add some of these shapes because I kind of need like something else in my piece. So I'm gonna add those. And then I'm gonna start playing, but I'm gonna stop talking so then you all can think without it being narrated. But these pieces exist for you to add as well. And before I stop talking, I do want to say that these pieces were laser cut on our makerspace. If anyone's ever interested in using our makerspace, the makerspace is free to use with your library card. You can email, we have pamphlets at the front. You email the makerspace, you literally can say what you want to learn in an email, give 3 times that work for you in your library card number, and our coordinator will book you an appointment and give you a one-on-one lesson on how to use that piece of equipment. If that's scary for you, you can also just send an email and say, hey, can I come drop in and just look at the space? And they can book you for a tour. Or you can just drop in any time that the library is open. The makerspace does have differing hours, so I recommend calling ahead or looking online to just make sure that the hours have not changed for the week. But for the most part, the library is, the makerspace is open from 10 to 7, Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5 Friday, and Saturday 10 to 4. It's in the pamphlet. And I put these pages in the thing, and then Rowan and I pick shapes in Canva, and the laser cut them out. So, super fun stuff. If anyone has questions or needs guidance, you can raise your hand and we'll walk around and make sure that everyone has everything they need. But it looks like
and we had a lot of fun picking shapes. So we cut out a lot of different kinds of shapes.
Yes.
There should be a pretty good representation in your basket, but if you're just not finding something that speaks to you, you can also walk around, look in some of your neighbors' baskets if they're not using them. There are lots and lots of different kinds of shapes and pages. If anybody wants to cut their own shape, we will get you an unlasered page. Feel free to just let us know that that's what you'd like. You're welcome to tear or cut your own out if you have a vision.
100%. So I think I am kind of liking what I did. You'll notice I'm covering up that blue mark I made. But the blue mark is what inspired me to use these funny little shapes. So sometimes things that might be viewed as a mistake become something that work. So a note on gluing. I'm sure a lot of you have glued before, but sometimes when you're collaging, it can be hard to make sure everything sticks. I like to grab a scrap piece of paper, and then when I glue, I sort of just run over the whole shape on the scrap piece of paper, and then that way I have a really nice sticky piece. And I don't have to worry about it being perfect. I'm leaving this up because I kind of want to tuck it in like this. We'll see.
While you guys are working, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spiel about some of the stuff we have that you can come grab up here. If you're, like Rachel Ann said, if you're curious at all about our makerspace, about using our laser cutter or any of the other materials to do stuff like this or something completely different in the future, we have several things about the makerspace that you can take. We have some general info about the library. We got some bookmarks and pencils. Just feel free to walk by here before you guys head out.
Also, if you do not have a library card, we have an opportunity today where you can sign up for a library card today, and we will give you your library card today, and it will be active by Monday. All we need is a way to establish you as a Tulsa County resident, and that's it. You can come here by Monday morning. You will be a library card holder. We have somebody waiting at work today who is literally going to put it in the computer. So on Monday, when you arrive at the library to use all of our services, it'll be available to you. Exactly. So like a driver's license, you could have a photo ID and a piece of mail. We will work with you off microphone to figure out a way to get you a library card today. We also have different types of library cards, and so there are many options. So even if you think, I can't have a library card, you might be able to have one. So don't hesitate. So if there isn't one in your wallet right now, And also, if you haven't used the library in a while and you're worried about fines and all that kind of stuff, you can come talk to us and ask questions. I also encourage you to go to any branch and go to any desk and say, hey, do I have a library card? And also, like, what's going on with it? We do not do late fees anymore. And so a lot of things, and also if you haven't used the library in a long time, even if you had late fees from a long time ago, they might have been forgiven, and you may have a fresh start at the library and not even know it. And so that is my other side spiel for the day.
Thank you, Rachel Ann.
So I'm gonna walk around. Mine feels done. What's really funny about this is that I didn't come with a plan, but I ended up doing this little house, and it says, felt very happy. I bought a house this week, and look, I accidentally made a little house artwork, so.
Well, now
that's
you
kinda
can hang
nice.
that up in your new house.
Yeah, I can hang it up in my new house. I didn't even do it on purpose. I just sort of vibed, and it brought its way, it came all on its own. So funny how that works. I'm gonna walk around and chat with y'all.
So if you're willing to let me take a photo of you with your artwork for our social media, I would love that. I'm just going to kind of wander around, and you can just kind of wave at me if you wouldn't mind letting us do that.
In about 10 minutes, we'll start kind of transitioning to the next thing. One of the things that you all have done for us today is, first of all, if there's any scraps or things that have resonated with you, please take them with you to continue this process. When you're not here, nothing that all the pages and stuff are to use. The supplies we do need to take back to the library, but one of the things that you can do for us, if you're comfortable with it, is that those white baskets with the laser cut paper, you can leave those, but I'm also gonna bring another container, and any scraps that you feel like, it's like, that's a good scrap, you can put in a container for us or in a pile, and then we can save those for our next activity, because your little cuts are going to help inform the next person so they don't have to start their thinking from scratch. So you'll populate the next thing. It'll also make it easier for us when we, as we start to throw things away, that we're not throwing away like, those precious, exciting things. So I'll put a couple little containers there for that. But also no pressure, of course, with that as well. Bring some other containers for that. But we still have time, so don't feel super rushed. And also, as we're cleaning up, if you still need more time, there's still time, like as we're cleaning, that you can kind of wrap up while we're doing that.
Yes, and as we're wrapping up, I want to let you know next weekend's I Can't workshops. At 10 a.m., I Can't quilt a coaster. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And then at 11, I Can't bachata dance. Get some exercise, fun music. And then our last weekend, October 12th. At this time, both of those workshops are full. So if you have registered, you're golden. If you have not, you do have the option of going ahead and coming to the Center for Creativity. We typically have a few people who register who don't attend, and we hopefully will be able to work you in, but we can't make any promises. So that last weekend at 10 a.m., it's I Can't pastel paint, and at 11 a.m. is I Can't sculpt. So those are our visual arts workshops tend to be the most popular and fill up. So we'd love to see you back for any of those last 2 weekend workshops. And then also don't forget the concert with Rory Hoffman. It's going to be super fun. If you're watching on the live stream, it's Monday, October 14th at 5:30 p.m. Of course, we have all the information about that on our website. I'll just, while I'm up here, go ahead and give another thank you to Rachel Ann, to Rowan, and to the Tulsa City-County Library. Always make the amazing workshops for us. So thank you so much. This has been really fun.
we also need to give a round of applause to all of you. I'm really impressed with all of your flexible thinking and honestly like trusting us to try something new together today and just like have a little bit of fun and like go on an unexpected journey. So I want to give you a round of applause because I'm really proud of all the thinking that you all did. So it takes a lot of really hard work to like be flexible and like be open-ended, and I'm really thankful that you all trusted us and got to be part of the fun today. And like I said, also, if you do not have a library card, come up here and it'll be great. Or grab makerspace stuff or all kinds of stuff. We're here for you if you need it, but also no pressure. If you don't want to do a library card today, you can go to any branch any day and sign up for a library card. You can do it online. We also have, if you don't want to sign up today, but you want to sign up at home, we have postcards you can mail in. There are a million ways to get a library card if you do not have one. Thank you so much. And then what I'll ask is, as you're finishing up, if you can just kind of clean up your area and sort of put like items with like items, that'll be very helpful to me. And then also making those trash decisions is also super helpful as well. But of course, no pressure as well. Thank you so much.